So, and then the kids, the boys, they started flag football on Friday.
Kids Crocs.
So it's their first time playing flag football. So Makai, his team is called the Seahawks, and Jordan, his team is called the Bills. So
Nice.
yeah, so they did a little flag football situation Friday night. So you know what I'm saying? Got the boys outside finally.
Yeah.
Right.
Did they
You know,
start with
yeah.
two-hand touch? They still do that? They still do.
If they, well, I mean, they got flags, so they don't need to. But I think if they practice without flags, they do two-hand touch. But on the actual games, it's all flags.
Yeah.
Those days.
That's the same with him. He was supposed to he played last year and in the past spring. He was going to play this fall too because his season would have just started Sunday. But I told you like he broke his wrist a couple months ago, so he didn't play flag this fall. He'll play again next year. But yeah, it sucks. But yeah, he loves it. He loved the flag football.
Man, I'm gonna tell you something too. I don't know if some of these parents are lying or if some of these parents are feeding their kids like the mutagen that needs
Right?
turtle drink. But some of these 7-year-olds look like they 15.
I feel you. I was looking the same thing because he's 8, and like this kid was like damn near as big as me, and I was like, really, dude? Are you
I felt like
serious?
one of these kids had a beard, and I think I saw him rolling up in a Benz. Like, I'm like, bro, we're not doing that. That's crazy. You were not 7 years old. He said, "Heart." I'm like, you got a Tom Brady. Like, we're not doing that today. I was like, nah. It's seriously, these kids are big today. It's crazy.
They are. They're my friend's son. He was playing flag last year. He's playing tackle this year. He's like 2 years older, so he's 10, a buck 20, 10 years old, a buck 20. Just a solid kid, and like I was just seeing the videos of him. He just like stiff arming cats. I was like, what the hell y'all feeding this dude?
Yeah.
Just like 2 years ago, he was a little scrawny little kid, just like my little man. But now I was like, wow,
No, these kids built different. I feel like they're getting like fed raw diets like a pit bull or something like that. It's just insane.
Right.
That's crazy. But no, it was still a vibe though. It was dope.
Yeah.
Like nowadays, like kids ain't kids anymore though. You know, it's like you're investing in them from the jump. So if you're into this sport, you're gonna like, you know, try to be like the next whatever Tiger Eldridge or no, yeah, whatever Tiger Woods' dad is, or the Williams, you know, tennis, like all of them, you know what I mean? Like, which I kind of would like, of course, to live through my kid and have my kid be in the NBA and all that junk, but I also want my kids to be kids, you know? So it's like, yeah, it's like that kind of juggle or whatever. Like I was talking with Harold the other day, and he was talking about how, you know, doing the referee thing or whatever he does at times, they'll have like these kids like decked out, like everybody's on the AAU team, like, you know, it's like their second life, you know. It's like, oh yeah, F education and going to school and whatnot. Like I'm 24/7 balling, like here, there, everywhere. Like it seems like it's too much. And you know, out of all those kids, like whether they're juiced up and their parents are like, you know, just like you say, feeding them like dogs like that or whatever it is, like how many of them are really gonna make it, not even to like professional, but even like legitimate or decent college, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you could make like the college football team or whatever, your local community college, but you know, is that what you want? You know, all that effort and all that work put into it, but parents are like gung ho about it, I guess.
Yeah, I see it all the time. Like I said, I was a coach last year, so you see these parents die hard and pushing their kids. Like with him, I just let him play, like have fun. Like no matter what, win, lose, we good, man. Like if you want to stick with it, cool. We're gonna finish the season. If you don't want to do it after that, I'm good. Because like he did tackle last year also. He did flag first and then he did tackle. In tackle, he didn't really like it as much because he didn't really get to play because the coaches only cared about winning. They didn't really play the other kids and stuff. So I was like, he was like, he wanted to quit. I was like, no, we got to finish the season. But since you committed, try to, you know, instill those values. But after that, you know, if you don't want to do it, cool. Especially like one of the games was like, you know, an hour away. So I'm up here driving an hour away to watch him play and take him to the game. And he's sitting on a bench the whole time. I was like, dude, this is some BS. So, yeah, because all they care about is like these parents yelling, fighting each other. And cussing out each other and cussing out the refs and stuff. I was like, dude, it's not even that deep. Let these kids have fun. Let these kids be kids.
Especially at that elementary level. I mean, my thought process was, okay, well, first and foremost, the younger ones, it's like 1 and 3 or whatever right now. So the 3-year-old, we're probably going to get her into soccer because that's usually, what all the like young kids get into first, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to get her into that or whatever. And then as she gets older, going to try some additional sports, maybe throw her into some volleyball, definitely basketball. And, with the boy, maybe same thing. Not too sure about football. Like, I like football and everything, but I'm also like one of those safety parents, and I don't want to, necessarily. But if he does gravitate to it or if he likes it, going to give that open to him as well. But then as they get older and as they start to focus more on one specific sport, that's where it's like, all right, yeah, let me put my backing and support behind you. Right, and if they're legit serious, not if I'm serious about it, but if they're serious about it, that's where it's like, all right, yeah, we're going to go deep in everything and get you into whatever, extracurricular sport or whatever. I ain't got the money to get you like a personal trainer and shit like that. So it ain't on that level, but I will try to be supportive in that sense. And that's when I'll become one of those crazy parents. But likely we're not talking about that until maybe high school, if that, you know what I mean?
So I did reffing yesterday for 6 different games back to back. And saw some things, which was pretty interesting that I registered in the back of my mind. First of all, one of the refs that I was co-reffing with came up to me and was like, so they're complaining that we're reffing them too hard and too evenly, that this is a 4th grade team versus a 5th grade team. So we're supposed to handicap it. And I'm like, no, we don't do that. So she's like, just so you know, they're yelling about that, but we don't do that. But it's like, I can't tell. Some games are actually close where it'll be, I don't know, 45, 42. And other games be lopsided. Like this one we were reffing, which was like 58-9, right? And it's like a beatdown is a beatdown, but hey, I can't help it if you are trying to just now learn how to catch, dribble, and run, and you literally are just throwing it to the other team. Like, it's just gonna happen that way. Or if you get on a fast break and you fumble it off your leg or throw it hard off the backboard or whatever, right? And at the same time, it's kind of funny because you see these like photographers in a corner trying to get the action shot with the super telephoto lens. And I'm like, what are you capturing? It's a little early for that. But they got them in their new jerseys. They got the backpacks. They got all this gear and flair.
Well, my question is why, back in those days when we were at that age and we were playing the youth sports and whatnot, they had those mercy rules, you get down by 20 points, it's like, all right, yeah, they tack on a 1 point for you every time, whatever happens, right? So why are these kids not getting that? And it's like, oh, because they're in the competitive AAU or whatever. Well, maybe these motherfuckers don't need to be in that league. If you're a parent and you're complaining, talking about you gotta play or ref them a little easier because they're gonna F that ish. No, get into a little fun league, not real serious business if you're gonna be that way, because that's not how life goes. That's not how competitive sports go.
Exactly.
I'd be annoyed as F as I'd be teeing up parents and all that ish if I was a ref. So yeah, nah.
X.
Everybody wants that participation trophy. That's what it is that mindset. No, go ahead and let them have it. No, this is not how life works. This is what it is. Hey, they're not going to get it the same when they get a job. I was a little late. I shouldn't get penalized because the person was here on time.
Exactly. There's competitive and there's recreational. And I think parents get that conflated or confused and whatnot, and again, life is going to be a little harder. So you got to take these licks every once in a while.
Yeah.
So Don, I remember back in the day, Pioneer played Foothills.
Mm-hmm.
You on the other side.
I was.
When did you know you didn't want to do basketball anymore?
You know what? It wasn't really that. I actually loved to play basketball and I wanted to. It was, we was in middle school, high school, and I wanted to have some, money and, go out and play and with the girls. And my dad flat out was like, well, no, we're not supporting you. So you either go get a job or you play ball. You know what I'm saying? So I love basketball. You know what I'm saying? I would have continued to play, but to me, I always wanted to look fresh. Fly was more important to me than basketball. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I chose. And
that's when the grind started?
That's when the grind. That's literally when the grind started. No joke. I was because before then it was basketball every day, basketball and like Sega or PlayStation 1, whatever was out at the time. But like it was literally basketball every day. But I also wanted to look fly, and they was like, "Look, man, you getting a little to that point where you want to look fly. You want these Jordans and these like expensive Nikes to play ball in, and, you know, and these expensive Nike shorts to play ball in. Like we're not gonna just buy that for you. Maybe once a year during back to school, but." Yeah, you know what I'm saying? It's no, we're not doing that. We got you a pair of basketball shoes. You don't need 20. And I was like, well, actually I do. And they're like, well, then you need a job. And I was like, well, all right. And that's how it started. So
but that was also the era of like, not only are you watching NBA, but in college sports was huge. But then you had EBC, the International Basketball Classic. You also had YPA, and you had Nautic, and you had AN1, and you had all the other like things competing for your time. It was just like basketball was just everywhere on every channel.
Yeah, no, basketball was it. Like, I mean, that was the time too where they tried to go hand in hand with like, you know, what the culture was, hip hop and fashion and basketball. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really, you know, I know we've seen it on docs before, but I really like attribute it to like AI and, you know, Kobe and, you know, T-Mac and Vince Carter. You know what I'm saying? Like they had the swag and they had the look and the style and all of that. And that incorporated with basketball. So I loved basketball. I wanted to be a part of that, but I needed the money to have the look first. So I was like, all right,
discretionary.
If I can't play ball at school, then I'll just get fresh to play ball at like Rose Moffett or something like that said, you know what I mean? So, but no, you're right though. I've always loved basketball though. I just money first. That's how it always was for me.
Yeah.
Did you watch that AN1 doc on Netflix?
What was that?
Did you watch that AN1 doc on Netflix? And this is 30 AN1 the AN1 doc. That shit was fire.
It's weird, like because they had the two different ones or whatever. So they had like the Netflix one, the Untold Story, and then they had, like you mentioned, the 30 for 30. The 30 for 30, that one seemed like it's more so just like the players, like, hey, like we came up and this is how we got this mixtape thing going and blah blah, and then it all falters real quick. And then the Netflix one, that seemed more about the AND1 brand, like the business side or whatever. Like, hey, we're these white dudes came up with this brand with these T-shirts and these like, you know, statements and whatnot. And then we saw that like we can get these street basketball players, you know. So it was if both of those two were combined as to one, then it would have been like phenomenal because it gave you everything. But separately or individually, it's like, yeah, this one's cool. Yeah, this one's cool. This is about it.
I'm gonna be honest. I saw that like AND1. I saw both, like you said, and the one that they were specifically about AND1, the brand. Bro, I don't like to get racy, but I felt really weird about that afterwards. Like you have no idea, and then like watching these like what was it, 2 or 3 white dudes come up with these god awful sayings first and foremost, and then it's like you look at them like, bro, this ain't racy to y'all. Like, you know what I'm saying? I just can't believe we allowed that back in the day. You know what I'm saying? Like
they signed Starbury.
Yeah. Yeah, but look what happened. And then look what happened. He broke his ankle in their shoes.
Yeah. But I remember the days of everybody having the Tai Chi mids, and I had those, and those were phenomenally comfortable.
Oh, we all did. Yeah.
I didn't have them, but I remember those ones. I remember at one point they had like Latrell Sprewell. He was with them.
Yep.
Vince Carter.
Yep, Vince Carter. Yep. That's where like the Tai Chi's blew up because of him. Like, so you know, they should have
that 2000,
like, you know, resurrecting their shoe game, I guess.
Yeah, that was crazy, bro. But I'm just like looking at like the character on every single shirt, and I'm like, you came up with that character, you know what I'm saying? And like those, you got to go to church to pray for your death, something like that. I'm like, yo, these are corny as hell.
And that's the thing, yeah, like you said, like you know, in hindsight, you look at it like, man, that kind of like racist, like cultural appropriation type issue, whatever.
And then and you know, I don't like to judge how dudes look or whatever, but like the main designer dude was nerdy as hell. So I'm like, you got this nerdy as hell dude with these big ass glasses, and he's coming up with these hood phrases. I was like, ooh, bro, I don't like that at all. I did not know. I didn't know.
We didn't get like a full bagging where I think like at one point, like one of the dudes, one of the first dudes that came up with it, where he's like, oh yeah, I love basketball and and like, you know, so it's like, oh yeah, I play basketball. Obviously, I'm not like professional or anything of that nature, so I go to the parks and go to the court and stuff. And so maybe he did grow up in that culture. And like, anytime you're playing basketball, you got people like, talking trash and stuff like that. So it's like, oh, let's put this stuff on low. So I can kind of get it. And I know it wasn't necessarily, oh, yeah, we're just trying to appeal to black people and steal us black money. But at the same time, like you're saying, there's a little bit kind of.
But it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that, because then they handle their business like every other white opportunist does.
Yeah.
Where, you expect them with all this fame, rich and fortune, and they're now world renowned, and they're making $30,000 a year. It is like, what? Like, they're getting.
Well, yeah, and that part that was crazy too. When they're like, I think at one point they mentioned like, oh yeah, like when it kind of fall or do a downfall and not do that great with sales of product and stuff like that. One of the and1 guys are like, one of the street ball dudes that is, was like, oh yeah, like Hot Sauce, he should have had his own shoe. And it's like, no, he should have had his own shoe. But then on top of that, like as you're mentioning, the amount of money they're getting paid for the amount of revenue that they're bringing in, like that's some bullshit. If I was one of those guys off of and those mixtapes, I would have been pissed as hell. I don't even think I would have did the interview.
Well, they probably said like, I love basketball. I'm not in it for the money. They're like, awesome, we want you. You got friends that think like that? We want you, and you too. Like,
that's wild, bro.
And then I think at that time, like you get paid, you get money, you just happy. Like either that or you get nothing. Like you playing a game that you love just to make it fun and just be a little quote unquote celebrity. That was again like how many years ago that was that compared to now, where money is everything, where you can get money for being on freaking YouTube and Instagram and everything else. It's not as big as it was then. So, and like with the phrases, it was like it's like they took NBA Jam to a new level. Basically, that's all they did. They went extra with that, extra phrases, extra. He's on fire, like nah. And this went to the max with that. But yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, and when was it
though? Like it's weird, but the more things like this happen, like the more I like get into documentaries just to get like more of an insight on like, oh, I didn't know it was like that, or I didn't know this. Like, maybe I'm like become more of a nerd or whatever. Or just being older, you just want to know more about what's happening or what you're doing. But it does make you again have that hindsight, thinking like, man, when they did come out with. For me specifically was I didn't care so much about the tight cheese shorts. Like those basketball shorts, they like surpassed Nike for like the longest time. And one shorts are so dope.
Oh, for sure.
But even with the phrases on the shirt and everything. And then remember, it was like more so like around like junior high or like, late 90s or whatever. But they had the like Rolling Hard t-shirts, which were the ones that had like the lowriders and all that stuff.
Of course.
There's so many different things where like you wore it and you're like, oh, this is so dope, or you thought it was so cool. And like now looking at it, if you look at old photos and stuff, you're like,
dated.
Like baggy ASS jean shorts. Like jean shorts, not like basketball shorts, not like khaki or whatever, like jean shorts, jorts. We thought that was dope. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Man, oversized t-shirts. The white tee thing. Thank God I never got into the white tee, like the extra large white tees. But the jerseys all the time and all that junk.
It's probably because it went with the white Air Forces.
Bro, no, we were out there. I still know the store where to go get your 3X club tees. You can get white, black, orange, purple, green for $12. I used to do that every check. All right, that's real.
Yeah, I never really rocked those baggy stuff. Never extra large. Nah. I always like got my size. I never rocked the extra large stuff like that. But when you think about it, like as far as how that happens, it's still going on right now. Like I know y'all. I don't think y'all into like the UFC like me or whatever. Like when you watch like Dana White, like they're about to do that Reebok deal where the fighters all have to promote the Reebok shirts and stuff, but in clothes and outfits, but they don't get paid off of it. Like the new shoe deal that The Rock is like the new sponsor for the shoes with his new shoe brand. All the fighters have to wear the shoes and promote the shoes, but none of them get paid off of that. So it's still going on. Yeah,
I thought he was with Under Armour, or is he with Reebok?
Nah, he made a new shoe brand. He just made a new shoe brand over the last couple months ago. Like and they just announced that he's the new official shoe sponsor of the UFC or whatever. And not one of the fighters, all have to do it. They did all a new commercial and all this stuff, but none of them are getting paid off of that deal and stuff. So it's crazy.
So I feel slightly different about that. And the only reason why is because two things. Number one, these are grown men, so they don't have to sign it. And number two, everybody has information these days. So it's not like the early to mid 90s where they're kind of like being like held away from the information. Like it's like a contract that they don't know what they're signing or they don't know the information behind it. I feel like these days, if Dwayne Johnson comes to you and says, hey, I have this new shoe, you have to wear it and you're not getting paid, here's a contract. Like we know more today, and these are grown men, they don't have to sign it. So if they sign it, I don't feel sympathy for them if they're not getting a check, because if they're
it's not even, they don't have the opportunity to sign anything as far as the shoe deal. It's part of the UFC contract. It's part of the UFC brand. Is if you a fighter for the UFC, you got no choice. Yeah, agreed. Like, yeah, I signed a contract. I can't get more money than this, blah, blah, blah. But at the same aspect, what else you going to do? If your life, you want to be in the UFC, you're going to do what they tell you to do.
Well, see, there you go. There's your choice. Because again, exactly. when you're signing a UFC clause contract, I'm sure it's in there. I'm sure
exactly.
And I'm sure it's in there, and it's going to say, hey, 4 years down the road, if, John Bon Jones comes and he has his own sneaker and we want you guys to wear it, you're going to wear it. Now sign. So at that point, sympathy's out the door. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like, oh, they have to wear it. No, they have a choice. You want to be in the UFC, this is what comes with the territory. You have to get that grind until you're big enough to where you can make your own shoe. You know what I'm saying? So for me, these days, I have no sympathy to that. That's just me.
It's easier said than done. Like if you, like I said, yeah, I agree. If you sign a contract, you sign a contract. It is what it is. But at the same time, it still sucks. I'm not saying like, hey, you have to, you should, or whatever. But I'm just saying, like, if you work your whole life to be a part of MMA and part of a fighter, and you only have one or two organizations to pick from, then like you can't get bigger. You can't make your own deal. You can't do your own shoe. You have to, work your way up. Eventually, you're gonna be at that point where, how many UFC fighters are up there where they control like, a good 1%. John Jones, Connor, Israel, there's like what, 500 fighters under the UFC brand, but you don't know
how many of those 500 fighters are John Bon Jones.
Exactly, that's my point.
How many of those fighters are Conor
That's my point. There's only 1% that can actually do that, but there's a good 500 fighters that you don't have that option. You can't say, I want this, I want this, I want that.
That's because they suck.
No, it's not that they suck, it's because you don't know them.
No, so I think you guys are both like on the right thing, with respect to like Don saying like, yeah, you're a grown man, you can make your decisions, etc. But then at the same time, Quincy saying, yeah, like understandable, but it sucks, especially if like, it's like a necessity. Like he's saying, you've like worked your entire life to get to this level. What else are you going to do? Because they only have the UFC. They don't have any other options and everything. And I think it really is just, I have a little bit of sympathy leaning more towards Quincy's side, because even though you're a grown man, if you have limitations on like your control, and then also depending on what education you have, because nowadays, yeah, like the world's open. So maybe you have to sign this contract and you have to wear these shoes and stuff like that, but you can still promote yourself in other ways. Oh, they didn't say I have to wear these clothes, or like when I'm not in the gym or whatever, I can do commercials and, be sponsored by this person and that person. So there's other avenues to get money. But also if, again, it's in the contract, you're going to sign that contract. Maybe they're not educated enough to, have somebody negotiate for them the contract, or they don't have enough power because they're not John Bone Jones, or they're not Conor McGregor, or they're not Anderson Silva, or whoever it is. Like, if they're not like big enough to where it's like, oh, you want me, like you need me in your league, they can't make so many demands. And so it's like, sign it or get the fuck out of here, and unfortunately that's at least what you have to do to start. Then maybe once they get their grind and they become the John Bones Jones, then it's like, all right, yeah, I'm big, I'm box office, I want to renegotiate my contract or whatever it is, or maybe the contract expires. and so it's you have to have a little bit of both, unfortunately. So and I have some sympathy as a result of that, just the way the industry is.
But that's just the come up though. Like that's the come up, not even just in that industry, but everything in general. Like you have to know, like when you start, you're gonna start at the bottom. You're gonna have to like take these licks here and there. You know what I mean? So that's why for me, I can't offer sympathy to somebody that says, "Oh, well, why do I have to wear this multi-million-dollar dude's shoe?" Do you know why? Because he went through the same thing you did. John Bon Jones had to go through the same thing. Silva had to go through the same thing. But the difference is they made a name for themselves by being good. They did something different. You know what I'm saying? So
but why does it have to be that way? Why does UFC have to like fuck people over like that? So
but it's not just UFC.
So back in the day, I had to come up on the grind. Now I'm at that high level. Let me go ahead and shit on everybody else down there, just like I got shit. No, like make it better.
Exactly.
Why gonna pay them like?
I was like, I understand the fact that
just to wear my stuff and make me more money, and eventually, hopefully, they'll get to my level, and then they can do the same thing, treat other people like trash, and make me money as well, or make themselves money at that point. No, like you get to the top, you make it better for the people after you. That's what I would think. So it is kind of up that the UFC continuously, like he's saying, forces you to do this, and you ain't getting paid for it. Like it's greedy.
I think the unfortunate part too is that every time the UFC evolves a little bit, it's not even like the retirees, the Hall of Famers come up as well. All the things that they help build the brand, it's not like they have any type of invested stake or anything. So when you see the NFL, the NBA, they now have $50 to $100 million players. You have never seen a UFC fighter get over like $10 million. As big as an Anderson Silva was, even when they had the Fox Sports deal, they have the Reebok deal, they have ESPN deals. All the deals are in the TV money. And yet it all goes to Dana and his crew. It doesn't ever go down to the fighters. It's we could put down more events. And so now every weekend there's something that people won't watch. But we got you some fights. And so now you can fight for 60,000. Keep going.
Cool. Real quick. How long has the UFC been established?
Since like 94 or something like that, 93.
Okay, so we're barely
about 25 years or so.
Okay, so not that long, really. So in Harold's example of NFL and NBA, they just started getting money this generation. There was a time when NBA players were not getting these max contracts and they were getting treated the exact same way that the UFC fighters are getting treated now. UFC is not as established as an NFL or an NBA. These NBA players and NFL players just started getting the bag. You feel me? So you hear it all. Hold on real quick. So we hear it all the time with the retirees from the 70s and 80s, even the 90s, that are like, yo, y'all didn't take care of us. You guys didn't have any type of like insurance plan for us or any type of pension for us. They have that now. Adam Silva and them doing that now. So that's the same thing with the UFC. Now, I'm not backing the UFC. Don't get it twisted as if like I'm like championing them. But at the same time, I'm not going to let that example be used because the UFC is still fairly new and they really only have a handful of stars if you think about it. Just like the NBA at the time only had a handful of stars. Now that the NBA and the NFL have like multiple stars, they have bags that they can give everybody now and they're taking care of them a lot more now than they did 10, 20, 30 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So to me, that's why that really doesn't work. It's a little different in my opinion.
At the same time, like, yeah, they have the limited starts, but who controls that aspect? Like, if your promoter only promotes this person or this person, then that person's only going to be the star. If you're the only one that saying like, hey, because you with boxing, yeah, you can be a self promoter. You have multiple promoters, multiple managers. With UFC, there's one promoter. It's Dana, and if he wants you to be on that top, you're going to be on that top. If he doesn't want you to be there, you're not going to be there. And especially with this fly-by-night fans, like most of these fans don't know these fighters because they don't care to invest. They don't know who Anderson Silva was. They don't know who Jose Aldo is. They don't know who this person is, who that person is, especially this generation where, hey, I got to be an asshole. I got to be showing money, or I got to be on Instagram, or I got to be on this to be relevant. Like, I just can't be a great freaking fighter. Like Demetrius Johnson, one of the best freaking all-around fighters, but the average person don't know him, even though he has most of the records still in the UFC and he left. But since he's not a Conor McGregor where he talks stuff all the time, he's not that well known.
But dude, the NBA was the same way. Like, think about the 80s. Like, you had 30 plus teams with 30 plus players, and all they talked about was Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. That's it.
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
in the 90s. No, but hold on, but that's the same thing. And then in the 90s, all you heard about was Michael Jordan, later on AI, Kobe, like 5 players.
And that's what I'm saying. You made the choice to throw to only those people.
But
that's my point.
I gotta cut you off because I gotta get back to this, Don. Like,
okay,
I feel that it's inaccurate, some of the statements. You know, first and foremost, I think these comparisons are kind of difficult because UFC, you're looking at individual sport versus basketball, football, team sports, and whatnot. So it'd be better probably to compare it more so to like something like boxing and whatnot. But going with the financial aspect and getting the bag and like, oh, like NBA's been around for so long, and NFL's been around for so long and stuff. As far as looking at how much money they're making, there's still celebrities way back in like, you know, the 60s, 70s, 80s and stuff like that. But what's different is that now, because of social media and entertainment and everything that's blown up, yeah, we know so much more. You know, every sport has TV contracts. Those TV contracts make a lot of money, so that's why we're seeing all these people getting millions of dollars. It's not to say like you didn't have millionaires and stuff like that, like in the 80s and the 70s. And it's not like it's just Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. We know about those because of all these documentaries and they're on those special teams and stuff like that. But you have your Pete Maraviches, your Alex Englishes, George Milton way back with the Lakers and stuff like that. They had like, you know, star players and like, you know, people that were great, but back in the day, not everybody owned a TV. Like, you know, you only looked at that on newspapers or after the fact. At one point, they didn't even have like the NBA Finals on TV, you know, so people were only reading like the day after or whatever, you know. And so as time progresses, more sports or these sports like football, basketball, etc., they get more popular. That increases the revenue, more revenue. These companies or these organizations, NBA, NFL, they weren't just hoarding the money for themselves. They're actually paying a appropriate salary to these parties, to these individuals, making
they
their
are
brand
now, but they weren't.
Whereas
they weren't prior.
Again, now, NBA like 75 years. Okay, so if you go back to like 50 years ago, were they making that much money? Yeah, probably not. A lot of these guys, they play basketball and then they go like work as a janitor like the next day or some shit like that. I get it. So yes, it does take some more time. But the difference that I'm looking at, again, with the NBA, when it first came out, they didn't have all these revenue sources for them to make money. They could sell tickets. That's pretty much it. They didn't have any TV contracts. They didn't have like people with season castings or like all this like clothing and licensed material for them to make money off of. So yeah, they didn't have money to pay out money. But then as they did get bigger, they grew more money and they paid more money to, again, the players and such. Whereas UFC, when it just came out, it came out at that time where like sports entertainment is booming. So they jumped from like, making $1,000 as a brand, we'll say, or a company or whatever, to all of a sudden like $1 million. The difference is that $1 million that they made once they did get the bag, the UFC, Dana White and them just kept that and they've been keeping it. Whereas the NBA, as they progress to get the bag, NFL, as they progress to get the bag, more and more, you start seeing more and more contracts getting bigger and bigger and bigger. How many UFC guys do you see that like, oh, hey, I just did 2 fights. Now my next fight is like so much more money. No, it's the same bullshit. Like, chump change. So I think it's different the way that these different organizations are being handled. NBA, MLB, NFL, etc. Those ones, yes, there are people that make their money with respect versus UFC where they're still shitting on people.
And I'm saying it more on a moral aspect of things, not like, hey, you have to renegotiate, you have to do this, you have to get the bag, you should mandatory pay them. Like I'm saying as a moral aspect where, hey, this dude's putting his life on the line, but you get him $10,000. And hey, now I'm making multi-million dollars on these shoes, and I can't give them $100, especially when they took their opportunities to get sponsors, because like back in the day, you used to see them holding their sponsors up, having a hat, having a shirt, having a flag in a ring, where they're getting paid, $500,000, this amount of X amount of money from these people for this. Hey, so holding that can in a ring and the octagon after the fight. Now they don't do that. It's the same where now they have to hold that what is that? Not Red Bull, but that Monster energy drink, but they're not getting paid off the Monster. In like 10 years ago or 5 years ago, they were getting paid for holding whatever drink they wanted to. And just like in NFL, like at the end of the game, y'all remember, like, what are you gonna do after Super Bowl? I'm going to Disneyland. They got millions just to say that word. Disney paid them to say that. Like, but now, like, they can say whatever, but they're not getting paid for that. They can't even do that. That's the point. They can't even say, "Hey, I'm promoting this person." They can't do that in the UFC. They can do it like outside when they're not like saying anything, not being recorded and stuff by the UFC. But they can't just do that after a fight anymore. Like I said, morally, I think it sucks. It is the way of the world. It is what it is. Once it gets bigger and bigger, more people complain about it. Yeah, maybe in 20 years they're going to get $1 million instead of $10,000. Yeah, but I'm just saying it sucks. Period.
So I think, and obviously there's no morals in business, unfortunately, but
anymore.
I want to say that taking it off of the UFC a little bit, they're very much similar. Like you said, to boxing, I'd say more to WWE in that they both have an identity crisis where they don't know if they want to be player or focused on the individuals and say, hey, we're advertising Undertaker, we're advertising Roman Reigns or whatever it is, we're gonna make you come see Conor McGregor. Or if they're like, no player, no individual fighter is bigger than the brand. And so they're doing this like constant struggle between, you want to watch UFC 288 regardless of who's coming because it's going to be good fights, versus, no, I'm not buying that stuff unless I know somebody on the card. Oh, John Bones Jones? Okay, purchase. And so they don't know which one they want to be. Do they want to celebrate and hype up the players and the fighters? And if that fighter is bringing in 3 million viewers versus 400,000 viewers, you should give them a little extra. You shouldn't just be like, okay, well, you get a fight night bonus if you show something. Like, no, you made money, so I make money. That's how things should go, but it's not like that. And the same with WWE. There's fighters that risk their neck that have to tour around all these different cities, and that they still maybe only make 500,000, maybe $1 million or something if they are well known. And yet the WWE makes tons of money, especially when they got their Paramount Plus deal and they're now on streaming platforms and they get the advertisers and all that stuff. So the reason why sports is so popular and why it's so transformed in this day and age, and that's why I think this is like the peak of UFC. It's not like, oh, well, down the line in 2048 it might be better. I think it's going to go down quite a bit, but I think it's because people only watch stuff live if it's the news, or sometimes not even the news, or if it's sports. Everything else could be on demand. Everything else, whether it's Game of Thrones or whether it's Breaking Bad, can be watched after the fact on a plane, whenever. And I just binge through it and I just don't even care about it. But to know an advertiser is going to get you for that time between 4 and 6 or between 8 and 9, and you're guaranteed to be there watching and you can't turn away, that's what they're willing to pay for. And so that's why sports has become so lucrative. But the UFC and both the WWE aren't trickling that back down. And maybe it's because they don't have a players association. Maybe because they have nobody else fighting on their behalf, where it makes it more equity.
Good point.
Okay. Well, to change the subject, to get too deep into this one, Don, do you hear that Lupe? Did you peep out that Lupe yet? Because we didn't talk to you about it. You weren't on the last meeting when we were discussing Lupe.
What, his latest album?
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah. No, I was just curious because now we talked about it. You weren't on the last
record.
Because we talked about it, we broke it down, and we were talking about our favorite tracks and blah blah blah. So I just wanted your take on it.
No, I don't have the track list in front of me because I listened to it a couple of times. But Harold actually had called me about I think a week or two after, and I was in LA and I listened to it. To me, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot, actually. I was surprised that I actually liked it, to be honest, because I was like, all right, we're gonna give it a listen and this and that. But no, honestly, bro, he broke the joint down. I wish I had the track listing in front of me so I could tell you my favorite.
Favorite,
I memorized it, but
Oh, I know. That's because that's your guy. I'm not mad at it. But No, honestly, no, all joking aside, I gave it 3 solid listens. The first time I listened to it was like I was in LA, so I was just walking around and had it on in the background. And then I gave it a deep dive on the plane back. And from beginning to end, I wasn't mad at all.
Right.
So
yeah, same. Like the only thing I was disappointed wasn't longer, really. But other than
I
that,
was cool with that. I was cool with that.
But and it's the fact that he did it in like 3 days. I was like, oh, really though? Like, there's people that put a year into an album that don't sound that solid.
Do we really believe it was 3 days?
He said it like. I don't think he would. You can obviously people lie, but I don't think he did it. You never know, but like the fact that he said and he did it, I wouldn't put it past him. It wouldn't be the first time either though, because he put a couple mixtapes out in that short time period too. He did like a mixtape out in like 2 days, 1 day, or whatever, a couple of days. So I wouldn't put it past him.
I'm trying to pull up the track listing real quick so I can see which joints on there I like, but.
Like Kiosk, that one I liked. That's one of the tracks.
Right in the middle.
Or did you?
Huh?
Oh my bad. Did you go back and listen to that Precious Things, like I was saying? And
yeah, and I that's what you talked about with the hands and whatnot. It's like, okay, yeah, like it makes sense. It is dope. And again, it goes back to like Don was saying before about like Lupe has that deepness where he's like, all right, I'm trying to confuse you, like that wasn't so much confusing, but it was like, you have to like give it a second or third listen to see how deep it was they went into. Which also, side note, going on to like that thing that Harold sent the text or whatever with the countdown on Touch the Sky, like I was like, oh, cool. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't so like, I think that's where, you got the fans trying to go deeper and deeper, which a lot of fans, I will say, another side note, Jordan Peele, like all his movies and everything, people try to like analyze and go deep into those. And I think so many people nowadays just try to, whatever they like find fascinating or that they enjoy, they have to try to like prove or show.
Okay, here we go.
Or how much they know or connected to this and that. I think that Lupe at times with his music, although there is some like, deep things, just like in this case, like you were saying with the hands and, what he's saying, and then Touch the Sky with the countdown and everything. Okay, those all match, but then people would even go deeper to find something more into it. And I'm like, come on, man.
I ain't got that kind of time.
It's annoying.
Yeah, no. So I pulled the track listing up real quick. So my favorites on there were, sorry, Autobotto. I like that one. Kiosk. Naomi's probably my favorite low key. I thought Naomi was fire. And then I pretty much liked them all. Miss Mural was good, but I think because I remember track 7. That's what I remember specifically. Naomi was probably my go-to. I ran back to that one a few times.
Yeah.
So what was this on Precious Things I'm supposed to listen to?
So like Precious Things, like the whole, if you listen to it, like everything relates to hand gestures. Like you listen to it again and like, I should pull up the lyrics, but he was like, talking about snapping fingers, cutting, like everything, like he said, if you think about it, listen to it again, it relates to a different hand gesture. So he's like, I used to throw up peace signs. Now they want me to throw up Leon Spinks. Like, Leon Spinks was a boxer, So everything, and then he's like, they, cutting throats and trying to throw hands, like push me away. And by showing him, like everything he said in the track was like, for the most part, like a different hand gesture and stuff. He's like, now we not even writing for it. Now they clapping for us. They only throw up hands for us when it's celebrity. Like everything he said was like a different hands gesture in it. So yeah, like again, after the call, listen to it again after that call, after this meeting, and then you're like, oh, okay, I feel you.
That's cool. So, and I'll do that, and that's dope that he came up with that concept. But I guess my question to that would be like, so what was he trying to accomplish? Was he trying to like tell you something about hand gestures? Was he trying to me?
And it was like kind of like Brian was saying, like, you can take whatever message and go deep as you want. To me, it was just saying like how precious they are. We don't take them for granted anymore. Like, they can be a note for positivity or something negative. That so it can be something great where you use your hands to accomplish something great and it's amazing, or it can just be like freaking negative and evil with it.
Got it. All right.
And what I was gonna say is like when you're talking about going deep, is like I don't know, y'all remember? I know everybody remember that track, Ice Cube. Today was a good day.
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all see like somebody broke it down and actually figured out the date it was?
Yeah, I remember.
Did y'all see that?
Yeah,
I'd heard
It's
about
like-
that. I never looked into it.
I think I got in on. I'll send it to the group chat. But he basically is like, well, this is the day that the Lakers are the Seahawks, or not Seahawks, but
Supersonics.
Lakers beat the
day
Supersonics.
that Supersonics won. This is the day that MTV Raps was on. This is the day, and they broke it down to a single date and stuff. I was like, really? It was kind of cool how they did it, but I was like, that's funny.
It's cool, but then you're like, dang, how much time do you got on your hands? Like,
exactly. I was like, really? That's extra. That's a little extra effort. But I was like, okay.
That's wild.
More people at home.
Exactly.
But so all right. So I have a gripe, and I want to see, because Brian is our resident Mos Def Yasin Bey fan.
Okay.
I tried re-listening to his catalog, and I just realized, especially with the latest output that Black Star put out, I felt like he was slipping, and it was mostly held up and carried by Talib. And it was like I wanted more Mos Def. I wanted more melodic parts. I wanted more creative, introspective. I wanted more of that, and I didn't get it. And I blame part of the album being garbage because he just didn't show up, or like he was like dragged into doing it. But I listened to Black on Both Sides, listened to True Magic, one of those. I listened to one of his other albums. And I'm like, I don't get it. Like, I know he has like kind of the stigma as if he's so great and profound and all the things like Andre 3000 or something like that, but he just doesn't have the pedigree to earn it. And he has some gems in there, and he's great on the, Dave Chappelle Block Party, but his albums have done nothing for me. So take it away as far as like selling me on his greatness. I think you have him in your top 20 or something, right?
By the way, before you start, I am in 100% agreement with what Errol said. I got to be honest, and it sucks because I never wanted to say it. I just want to be I didn't want to be the first one to say it. So since he did, thank you, because fam, let me tell you something. All right, but yeah, take it away, sir.
So first and foremost, I'm a Mos Def fan, not a Yasin Bey fan. Like, when he was Yasin Bey, it's like, all right, what? And have there been albums coming out since then? I think I was watching one of the podcasts where he's on with maybe Talib or someone else, but they're talking about how he went to like Africa, kind of like did like a Dave Chappelle type thing, and then there's something with his passport and he couldn't get back. I don't know, some complex stuff, but there's been a lot of stuff he's done outside or away from actual hip hop or whatever. And so I don't know, and also at the time when his Mos Def and whatnot, that's when he had like the dope albums or whatever, like Black on Both Sides and whatnot, which is one of those like, yeah, top albums for me or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to, give the impression that like, oh yeah, I think he's the greatest and so on and so forth. I also agree with this last Black Star album. It was trash. I don't necessarily agree that it was trash because of Yasin Bey, but I could certainly understand it if I were to listen through it again and be like, oh yeah, let me see like how much did he come with it versus how much did Talib come with it. I guess yeah. I can't make a determination on whether it was his fault or not. I think part of it was more so just the production. Like the beats, the concept, everything, like they just it seemed like, again, not just Yasin Bey being forced to do it, but also Talib being forced, or just the powers that be saying, hey, let's do a money grab and like get some money from this, possibly, or something, and leading up or building up to that album was just a downfall. Now, all that said, going back, and if I were to listen to the catalog again, I don't know what you're talking about, Harold, as far as like him being perhaps overrated, or, people giving too much praise and stuff like that. One, I think if anything, he's underrated. People may know one or two albums, but like, they don't really think about like his lyricism or whatever, like Miss Fat Booty, like that was like just everything, like just talking that him rhyming, like the flow that the way he rhymes, the story, the storytelling, etc. Like just great. Like hands down. Like you're not gonna like, have me ever like say anything negative, or it'd be hard for me to say something negative with respect to Mos Def from a lyrical hip hop side of things.
Right.
That said, you mentioned also at one point, like, oh, like, people like, thinking he's great, like Andre 3000. I don't understand, and this is gonna be blasphemy or whatever. I have no understanding why everybody, and I legit mean everybody, praises Andre 3000 like he's the greatest thing in the world, hip hop wise, lyricism wise. Yes, when you're trying to hear me, like, yes, when he's like on albums and things of that nature, and when he has his verses and stuff, quality verses. That verse on Life of the Party with Kanye, crazy good. It'd be hard for me to find like a trash verse from Andre 3000, but at the same time, every time I listen to a verse from Andre, it's like, that's dope. That's it. It's not me being like, like I'm not blown away by him. And to mention, okay, that's verses. Cool. Do you want to throw Jay Electronica up there too on verses? Because these motherfuckers ain't put out albums. And maybe an album, like the Love Below, but what else? What the fuck else, So if you can't even, you can have a couple of hot lines, couple of hot verses or whatever. But if you're not doing like Mos Def, where you had albums, solo, performed by yourself, not having your sidekick, big boy with you or whatever, it's hard for me to act like, all right, yeah, Andre 3000 is this great, and Mos Def's kind of like right here. No, like out of those two, I'm gonna take Mos Def.
Sean, get him.
So
I'm not going to. I can't.
Flame suit on.
I can't.
No, I was gonna say
the only question I'll ask, because I can't. If you say that about Andre, there's no way I could change your mind. My only question is, why don't we accept Andre 3000's catalog? Because he had Big Boy with him. Like,
no,
that's the one thing
was amazing.
That's the one thing I don't understand. Like, we have output. When people go, oh, why are we picking him? Like, we have a catalog to go to. It wasn't just guest verses. He wrote and produced for years. So no, I'm not going to say because he didn't put out a solo project, we can't like compare him to a Mos Def. He raps circles around Mos Def. Like, he will,
it's like saying 8Ball doesn't have a solo album because he was always with MJG. It's like,
yeah, same thing. Or like
in there every track.
Or we can't put Prodigy up there because he rapped next to Havoc. Like, we can't do that. Andre 3000 since the early 90s legit has been consistent every single year. We have mad albums to go to. So I can't sit there and say, oh, he just put out the Love Below. Nah, fam. Andre was Andre before the Love Below was a thing.
You asked the question. Why can't we, put the catalog? Here's my answer. And now I'm going to answer your question with the question as well.
Sure.
If Michael Jordan didn't have Scottie Pippen, would he have won all those championships?
See, that doesn't make sense.
No, I'll answer it. The situation is, yes, it's great by himself, absolutely, but nobody looks to picking and choosing, again, because there's no albums alone to go to. They have to go to the full collection, which is you and your partner. There's never been anything separate for you to be like, oh yeah, all you can work with as far as like recognizing that Andre's this great is picking like out his individual verses because he doesn't have a collection of songs himself. So when I'm listening to like ATLiens, yeah, that verse that Andre 3000 had was hot. But then right after that, Big Boy comes out with a dope verse too. So it's not like, again, the Love Below and Speaker Box. I'm not just listening to the Love Below alone. I'll listen to Speaker Box as well. That was, some of those tracks, like it was a 50-50. Like it wasn't like I love Below and like Speaker Box is trash. Like I'd go back and forth between both the albums. I mean, that's how cool it was. But I think part of what elevates Andre 3000, not saying he's not great, but what elevates him to where a lot of people are praising him so much is the fact that he has that duo and that partner in Big Boy. So,
Cool.
same thing with Michael Jordan. He's great, but what elevated him as the greatest is having Scottie Pippen.
But I'm going to answer your question, though. Before Scottie Pippen, people were going to see Michael Jordan play by himself. When he wasn't winning championships, he was filling the arena because he was great. So he was great by himself. Andre 3000 is great by himself. They weren't elevated because he had Big Boy.
But without Pippen, he wouldn't have those championships and he wouldn't be the greatest.
Well, we don't care about the championships.
But here's what happens, though.
Jordan, he was Air Michael. He was Air Jordan before the championships. So that's the thing. The championships just put him to the next level, but they gave him a shoe a year after he started. He was already the GOAT, like 3-4 years into it. By the time he got to 1992 or 91 when they won their first title, like he was already that guy. You feel me? Andre 3000 before, that's what I'm saying. Like he was great by himself. He could be great.
And every time he puts out a track, it's a moment. It's like, oh, he's on the new Chance. Oh, he's on the new. Like you got to listen to that one first. Exactly. Maybe you may not even listen to it in order because you're gonna go to that track. It's a moment. People stop and take notice.
He can hop
they
on
don't
a
do that for a Mos Def, even if he's like, oh, he came out of the what's he gonna say? Like
that's why I'm saying I feel like more so Mos Def is underrated as opposed to like you're saying like overrated. Like no, like
but here's the reason why I say that.
Praising Mos Def.
For Mos Def, I like the Umi Says, and he has a whole style on that one. I like the Miss Fat Booty. He has a style on that one. I like the, Brown Sugar and the like Ode to Hip Hop. I love that track. Multiple examples of him putting forth effort, showing some like lyricism, grabbing the right beat, having an ear for like that. Those are examples where it's like, okay, I know you have it in you, but you just haven't done it. It feels like you dropped the ball. It feels like you just aren't motivated. You're like one of those lazy rappers that wants something handed to you, or you don't know how to make partnerships with like a DJ Premier or a Alchemist or something. Like there's got to be something missing for you to not have a solid output. And whatever it is, it's just I can't get attached to it. So that's all I'm saying is I know he has it in him. And people say the same tracks, which are excellent, but the rest, it's like, okay, what's track 5 after that?
So I was gonna say, like when Brian was saying everything with the Mos Def and everything, I was gonna say agreed 100% until you started talking about Andre, but
wow.
For real, Mos Def is still like as far as lyrically, he's still in my top 5. Period. Like hands down. Like, but Andre definitely. I love Andre.
He's dope. Have a top 20, top 5.
Like I said, I got different. So that's the difference. Like you got a top 5, period, whatever. I got like different top 5s. So I got a top 5 for like pure lyricalness. I got top 5
top
for
5
like,
right.
For like, little quote unquote gangster rap, top 5 for like, bar shooters, like, Mos Def, or not Mos Def, but like, Jada, Fab, where they those little hook line, there's little punchline rappers. So I got different levels of my top 5. But as far as pure lyricalness, Mos Def's a beast. Period.
Thank you.
Like
wow.
Yeah. You just said it yourself. You said it yourself. The tracks you name, he's a beast. You can say he's dropped the ball a couple times here and there, but that doesn't stop from when he does say something. It is dope. Period.
You legit are the first person in the history to ever put Mos Def on a top 5, and you know that's true. It's true.
People like Mos Def are the reason why people loved back in the early 90s. I mean, late 90s, early 2000s, coming up with those mixtapes where you could pick out 1 or 2 tracks from the album and put them together to make a good album. Because it's like,
y'all making me mad.
I got this
from like now I need to find like I don't even want to do this, but I feel like I have to find some trash Andre 3000 stuff.
Why you need to
great?
Why do you need to knock him down to build up?
But he's not great. You guys are like, I'm like, it's like he's like God of hip hop the way you guys like praise him.
I didn't say all that.
Again, and I'm not saying that like he's not better than Andre, but the overrated versus the underrated, it's one of those situations. Andre 3000, for me, a little overrated. Mos Def, for me, a little underrated. That's all I'm saying. But y'all just
I can rock with you.
You can only pick and choose a couple of songs. Like That's with a whole bunch of motherfuckers. Like, dang, man, like, I'm just mad.
No,
I'm mad.
I can rock with you if you're saying that Mos Def is underrated. I'll give you that. Cool. But to say he's like for me, I guess, to say he's in the top 5, no way, shape, or form. And then to say Andre is overrated, I don't know how you can be overrated when you always deliver. You're just good. That's just what it is.
Here's the thing, too, though. Here's the thing. Okay, so Andre 3000, no individual album except for, if you want to throw it in there, The Love Below. Okay, fair enough. Andre 3000, featured on this person's song, featured on that person's song, featured on that person's song. That's cool. But if you look at the, as you mentioned, catalog, how many songs are in his catalog? And over how many years was it?
Hundreds.
When you just come in the game and do something like ever so often, yeah, if you have a small catalog and everything's great, that's cool. But if he had a catalog with, we'll say, 100 songs, there's 100 songs where he had verses and stuff like that. You compare that to like a Mos Def that has 500 songs, maybe it's a little easier for you to find trash or like, man, I can skip that song, I can skip that song, skip that song, because he has so much put out there.
He does.
He has
it. That's the point.
Wayne, like for
one, Andre 2000 has way more songs than Mos Def.
Are they all great? No. But he had fire, and that's why he's the greatest rapper alive for that. if you put out so much, Denzel Washington, love Denzel, has a shitload of movies. There's a couple of his movies where I'm like, man, this is trash. I'm just gonna skip it. But that doesn't take away from his greatness. Meanwhile, if you just have like this one guy that comes and makes cameos every once in a while, oh dang, he's a great actor. He's a phenomenal actor. Because the motherfucker only did like 2 movies. So that's something you have to take into account as well, as far as talking about the greatness and people being overrated. If this motherfucker is only going to have so many things for you to criticize or critique, yeah, he's going to be the greatest. Because it's like, all right, let me only put out my greatest stuff. Anything that's garbage, oh, no, scrap that. Don't let anybody know that I had that verse because it's trash.
Southern Playalistic came out in 1994. What are we talking about?
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
Elevators
Elevators
came out in 1996. What are we talking about? Players Ball came out in 1994. He has been rapping since 1994. What are you talking about? He's got the catalog. It's there.
He has like 8 Outkast albums.
How many tracks were on Southern Playalistic?
Like probably 9 or 10 in 1994.
Okay. 9 or 10 tracks. Were any of those tracks just Andre 3000 alone?
They don't have to be.
No. Okay, cool. So the answer is no.
He's got 2.
So now you have 9 tracks, and he participated in each of those 9 tracks, but also with Big Boy. So really, you could say it's 50-50. So cut out 50% of that. Now you have 4.5 fucking.
That's not how math works.
I'm sorry, I'm heated, but I'm heated.
18 verses.
4.5 songs. You got 4.5 songs
and he
that he did. Okay, now let's go to the next album. How many was on that one? Next album. And that's where you build his quote-unquote catalog.
We're not going to let that rock.
So what do you think about like the Game album where he has featuring 2 Chainz, featuring Big Sean and Lil Wayne, featuring 2 Chainz and Ty Dolla $ign featuring, and so he's only did half the songs too, and it's his album. That doesn't make any sense. But
nobody's praising him like he's the greatest motherfucker in the world, or that's the greatest album.
It doesn't make sense. A solo album could have a lot of featurings, and he'll only put out 1 verse per track. Like,
so do you put the Black Star album in Mos Def's catalog then?
I have to, because other than that,
I'm asking Brian.
Why would you not put it in his catalog?
Fam, okay, we're done. Because he's rapping alongside Talib Kweli.
Yeah.
So then that album doesn't count.
No. Well, see here, if we're going that route, that's fine. If you want to take out like, collaboration things or when it's not just you solely, that's fine. Okay, now we take that out. Does Mos Def still have albums himself? Yeah, absolutely. Does Andre 3000?
Okay, but does Mos Def have quality albums by himself? If we want to keep it a buck, all right?
Yes.
Okay.
Again, like Black on Both Sides. We're talking about top 5s and everything. That would be one of my top 5 albums.
That's his only good album. I'm putting it out there. That's his only good album.
And it's still a lot of skips.
Black on Both Sides is his only good album.
I'm gonna slap you, Harold. I'm gonna slap you.
There's a lot of
skips. Get the fuck out of here and skips on that album.
Hey, if we're getting real, I'm putting Black on Both Sides against his Love Below. That's it. If we're gonna go down catalogs, I'm gonna do that and then guess verses and guess who wins.
All right. So going back to what Harold was saying with the Game album, What did y'all think of that Black Shady?
It was stupid.
It was a moment, but it didn't last.
Yeah.
And it was nobody wants to listen to a 10-minute track either.
He was just trying to create a moment to garner some buzz around his album, which, side note, I thought the album wasn't bad. It's pretty good. But no, that album, that song was stupid. I know what he was trying to do, so I get it. You know what I'm saying? Trying to like just go viral for a minute. But it's like, bro, stop poking at him. Like, because that's the thing with Game. Game has always been that guy that had to have some type of controversy to push an album. And it's like, he's not going to beef with any like newer rappers because newer rappers aren't even checking for him. So he's like, I've already gone at 50 a million times. I've already gone at Jay. I've already gone at, you know what I'm saying? So let me go at M one time. And it's like, okay, it did nothing. It was cool, but it was stupid. I get what he was trying to do, but it didn't work.
Yeah. No, I like for that long of a track, half of it was clean. I like the style of it, just like when you listen to it and he actually tried to rap like M from like, you know, the one of his first albums to his like latest and stuff. I thought the style of it was cool. Just how he was doing it, how he can show that his versatility. But yeah, overall, yeah, you're right. He just, you know, saying stuff to say stuff just to make that controversy, just to sell albums, which, hey, that's the way the world is now. Like, hey, if 50 Cent never had that beef with Ja Rule, and will he be as big as he is now? Probably not. But like everybody, you know, that's the way the world is. You have to throw that little controversy, that little extra effort into it to do something. But hey, to each their own. But like I said, the style of it, I think, was clean. I think the fact that how he rapped in it, it portrayed his versatility.
I mean, that's always been his thing, though, is like just name dropping and like, again, like kind of shock value or something, just saying whatever he can say to like, you know, get that and draw that attention. So it's nothing new for him. So that's probably why I didn't even bother with like, actually for the longest time, I haven't really bothered with the Game or any albums or whatever, you know, some dope beats and production in the background and everything. And, you know, verses are cool, or, you know, when he has people featured, that's cool and stuff. But, you know, after the G Unit dissing and stuff like that, like Ghost Unit, I was like, all right, whatever, cool. Like nothing. I think like maybe like Red Nation or like after that album, or that's where I kind of like I wasn't even gonna try to reach out or find his stuff or listen to whatever he has out. So
he has a strong catalog. Like surprisingly, there's a lot of his work that is really good and actually still holds
that's
up.
Skippable. But okay, yeah. We want to talk about skipping.
You don't want to hear that Game has a better catalog than Mos Def, but it's true.
And it's funny, it's saying skippable, like it's gonna hurt my feelings. Like I'm not championing the Game. The album's cool, but you know what I'm saying? I'm not championing it. It's fine. And you're right, because he puts out like each album, he puts out like 25 to 30 tracks. So yeah, I'll skip a few. I don't mind that, but it was cool. It was cool.
Yeah. So obviously you guys have lady friends. What do you say when they try to drag you to karaoke?
I'm an open guy. Like I'll do that. That's whatever. I've done like karaoke once or twice. I don't want to say I regret doing it, but like, yeah, I wouldn't do it again. Like whatever. But
as a participant or a watcher?
Hey, little lady. Nah. Anyways, no, but yeah, karaoke, like it's cheesy, but like it's something to do, you know. So you ain't got anything else planned, and you know, like, hey, let's go to karaoke. Like, go there and people watch, see people act a fool. Not a big deal.
I'm goofy, so I don't mind. It just depends the setting. Like, I'm not a fan of doing like karaoke in bars, low key. Like, I won't do that. But if you go to like a little like karaoke house and y'all get a room or something like that and just vibe out, it's whatever, it's cool. I've done it a few times, you know what I'm saying? But like the whole, there's a bar and like, you know, when Fridays and Chili's or wherever, and they were like, yo, grab the mic and sing in front of everybody. Like, I'm not doing that personally. But no, if you like, you know, there's a couple restaurants out here where like they got karaoke rooms or whatnot. Like, yeah, I don't mind. It's cool. It's a vibe. Y'all chilling, a little appetizer and a couple of drinks. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah. I'm on that level too, where I wouldn't necessarily go to a bar to do it or anything like that. I seen it and I've been there and I saw people do it. But if it was like a little out here they have like little Korean barbecue spots, Korean little spots, and they have little karaoke rooms and stuff like that. If you win a good vibe with a good amount of people, just all close friends and stuff, yeah, maybe I'll do it, but I ain't going out my way to do it. I'm cool on that.
Why do you ask, bro? Like, what? Someone trying to pull you up to a karaoke or something?
No, there's always things that like come up where it's like, oh, maybe we should do karaoke, and it's like, how did that ever come into your like? It just doesn't seem like something that would ever come into my top 40 things to do on a weekend.
That's true.
And it's one of those things where, to me, you guys all insinuate that it happens at bars and people are usually intoxicated in order to do it, to make it a thing. Like because I'm always sober, it's not like I'm ever going to be like, okay, step right up. And the songs that you have to choose, the selection, it's usually older tracks from like the 80s and 90s, a lot of like hair band music, a lot of stuff that might be like a Mariah Carey or something ridiculous that, again, if you're drunk and if you're in the shower, it may sound good to you, but it doesn't sound good to the rest of the audience. But it just seems like they're also like knockoff tracks. Like it's almost like the polyphonic ringtone era of like, now that's what I call, 90s volume 6. And it just, the music just isn't great. I don't know. There's no hip hop, obviously. There's nothing that like.
Yeah, there is. Like, first of all, the
Nelly,
hip hop
Hot
go to
something.
Karaoke. Hip hop go to in karaoke is "Regulate" by Warren G. Every white person knows it, and I hate to make it a racial thing, but a lot of times, or any time that I've been coerced into doing karaoke and stuff, it's always been with my white friends. And it's a white person go-to thing, like because it is kind of cheesy or corny at times, or it's not like you mentioned one of the top 40 things, like I can't recall any time a black person has said to me like, hey, let's do karaoke or whatever, or anyone else for that matter. Usually it's just like, hey, we're hanging out at the bar, we're doing whatever we're doing, and if you just don't have any idea of what to do next, like, oh, do you want to play video games? No, I did that before. Oh, do you want to go catch a movie? Oh, that's like, oh, let's do something different. So you're like forcing yourself, struggling to find something to do. And all of a sudden, oh, hey, karaoke, let's do that type deal or whatever, right? But mostly it's popular tracks, songs are on the radio and stuff that everybody knows a couple lines off of, because otherwise it defeats the purpose for you to be like standing and looking at the screen, just talking or trying to read the words and sing them at the same time. So it's going to be a more popular song. And yes, again, going back to it, the hip hop one that I've always heard has been Regulate. Or Regulators, how I'm saying Regulators by Warren G.
Yeah.
I was hearing Nelly, Hot and Her, and it's not the original one, so it's like a
Baby Got Back too. Baby Got Back by Sir Mix-a-Lot.
And it depends on the DJ. Some of them have like the machines, and some of them have an actual DJ. When you go to certain spots where they have a catalog of stuff, they have a freaking massive catalog of stuff. Like I went to a few little spots and I seen it, but I never like put my name on the list. Yeah. I was like, yeah, who else would do like? I'm like, no, I'm good. Like, I'm cool. I can watch it for a little bit. Then I'm ghost.
Pass the mic around. You're like,
yeah, I'm like, nah, I'm good. And it's usually the same like few people. Like, hey, their name is like right after the next person. They think they really on that level.
Yeah, the last time I did it, out of like the 2 or 3 times I did, was maybe like 8+ years ago, and it was at a bar after drinking. And it was Rump Shaker. I remember it was Rump Shaker, and that was dope. But and again, I was drinking, so I wasn't even getting all the words right and everything. But like, whatever, like, all I want to do is a zoom, 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 and your boom, boom.
Yeah. Like 8 years ago too, when I first moved out here, because we went to the bar with some coworkers and stuff. We all just went to a little spot, and they just happened to have it. It wasn't like we went purposely for that, but they just had it. And I ended up doing My Way, Usher. Or it was My Way or Nice and Slow? My Way, yeah, My Way. Yeah.
That's funny.
I was like, that was, last time I remember doing it other than that, it was probably a good 10 years before that too. So I do it like every 10 or so years. I'll probably do it in the next 2 more years. I'll do it again, maybe.
Are you saying you never do a Ebony and Ivory or something?
Hell no.
The undercover brother.
Yeah, I know. I remember he was in his bag too.
Right. Like having sex with white women, like that movie was funny. Mayonnaise.
the second one, and I want to say I saw the second one, but like, it's one of those ones you can't like repeat. But it was good.
Yeah. Wait, there was a second
Brother
one?
was good.
It was
like a straight to Amazon or something.
It wasn't the same. It was just like a remake of it and stuff with
Was
some.
Was it with Eddie
the
Griffin?
Same cast?
No, it wasn't Eddie Griffin. It was a whole new cast. Everybody's new.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not worth knowing.
Oh, cool.
Like,
exactly.
Don't worry, I won't watch it.
Yeah, I probably seen like a good 5-10 minutes max of it, and then I was like, yeah, I'm good.
No, I'm not gonna watch it. It's all good.
Yeah,
I'm done with the
it's
remake.
not worth it.
I'm done with
It's not even worth looking at the preview.
That's wild.
No. What y'all got going on this weekend? Or shoot, the weekend's over pretty much. What y'all got on tonight?
Football, man. It's football Sunday. So this is my only day to really chill. So I'm gonna just kind of clean up around the crib and then probably grill something. You know what I'm saying? Usually when it's football Sunday, I see what type of animal flesh I got in the freezer and throw it on the grill one time. I know, Harold. I'm sorry. Although I do have a bunch of like, cause Mildred doesn't eat meat, so I got mad fish and I got mad impossible meat and all that good stuff and Kjorn chicken. So I'll throw some of that too. But no, probably just grill and chill, football, something light.
Throw on that trader or trigger.
Probably not today. I'll probably just grill. I did what did I do on the Traeger last week? I just did burgers on the Traeger last week, but I'm probably just gonna grill. I got like brats and stuff, so I'll probably just do that today.
You can do some skewers. That way you can get some veggies on there with the little meat and boom.
Look at this guy. Skewers. Skewers take time to assemble, and I ain't got that kind of time today.
That's a kid activity. Hey, just stab this the thing, and then you contributed.
You want me to give something Jordan to stab? I'm not doing that. He's gonna turn that joint into a weapon overnight. He's gonna be doing this outside. Like, I'm not doing that.
Have you made little shotgun shells or the armadillo eggs?
I don't know what the hell an armadillo egg is.
So it's basically it's a jalapeno popper. So you get a jalapeno, cheese, wrap it in bacon, then you wrap it in sausage and smoke it.
Yikes! No, I have not. I don't really rock with jalapenos like that. So
speaking of the county fair,
I haven't done it. I've been wanting to do it. I usually do the jalapeno poppers, so I just do like the cheese. So I do it a little different. I do the cheese and I put the shrimp in the middle, and then I wrap it in bacon, then I smoke it or grill it or whatever. So those are always fire.
That sounds fire, but bro, we are trying to die early. I just want y'all to know we are really trying to go early, but no, that's like what I got going on. Brian, what you got going on today?
Nothing really. Probably just cleaning up around the house and whatnot. Like y'all watch football in the background, mainly because I'll be doing that sports betting or gambling online. So I'm just, let me see if I got some winners and whatnot. But other than that, cleaning up. Yesterday was I went with the wifey. We had a brunch like for her work thing or whatever. And my uncle, he had passed a couple of days ago, so it's his funeral, but he's out in Memphis. But it's crazy cool because they actually had a like it's like a live stream thing. Like yes, this church website where they're actually having the funeral. You could like just check in. So I was able to watch a little bit of that, which was cool. R.I.P. Unc. Prior to that, or actually that same day yesterday, like I'm in a book club with a couple fellas, and we actually do read these books and we discuss them and whatnot. So we had that. Thank you. We had that last night, which is all right. The book was weird. And then what else did I do? Friday night, I like one of my friends, like he does the cooking and stuff on occasion as well. And he actually hooked it up with some shrimp and grits, which normally I'm so used to like grits, like, in the morning, throw some butter on there and whatnot and eating that like back in the day as a kid growing up. So like, I was like, man, I'm not really trying to feel grits. I'm not that big into them or whatever, but this is my first time having shrimp and grits and that was bomb. So it's like, all right, yeah, like, let me, expand my palate a little bit more and eat different foods. But that was pretty much all that's been done this weekend, and then back on the grind working like usual during the rest of the week. Harold did mention something in regards to the fair. So at least for Arizona, you cats, Don, Harold, like you guys gonna be going to the fair or anything?
Probably not.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
Probably not. It's not. Well, I mean, number one, it gets more expensive every year, and number two, like I don't know. I just lately there's been too many like videos of rides going wrong, and you know what I'm saying, like going faulty, and I mean, I don't know. It's hard for me to like want to get on a ride that can be constructed within a couple of hours and then taken down within a couple of hours that then rides on the back of somebody's truck. You know what I'm saying?
Crank up a couple wrenches.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
I don't know. Them joints are a little too rickety for me. So if we go, it's just to get some of the, carnival food and just kind of vibe out. So we might slide through, but it's not really in the plans.
I've always been hesitant about the fair because of the rides, and like you were saying, as far as because it's not like a regular thing, like an amusement park where this is always permanent. We're always checking. It's like, all right, hey, let's go from town to town to town, throw these things together with duct tape, and everything's gonna be good. Like, so I've always been like paranoid about that.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah, they got the fair going on out here too. I was like, yeah, I'm good. I know the kiddo went a couple weeks ago, but I was like, yeah, I'm good. I usually go with them every other year previously when we were all together and stuff, but I never still rode the rides, but I went just for, GP and just to go with them. But this year I didn't go. I was like, no, I'm cool.
It could be
the food aspect of it, though. That's also going back to like Don said, like we're just trying to kill ourselves because they get every year is like, let's find out what else we can deep fry, like this.
That's
weirdness.
Do a date night thing and just like
fried butter.
That's a test. If she reaches for that fried butter, you're like, all right, noted. She reaches for that, ooey gooey cinnamon roll, you're like, nice. I see where you heading.
That's extra.
Facts.
But, I don't know what I'm just gonna same here today. Clean up, chill, relax, throw a couple little laundries on. May hit up the store, make something for dinner. Not sure what I'm gonna do yet. Yesterday I did a little crawfish boil, came out pretty solid. Yeah, as far as like I was just thinking about that shrimp and grits. I still haven't had it. The same when I used to eat it when I was younger. It was always the breakfast, a little butter, a little sugar, but I never had a savor. I wanted to try it a few times, but every time I like saw it on the menu, it's like, $15, $20. I'm like, I ain't paying $20 for no fish, shrimp and grits. I'm cool.
Yeah.
Like, but I've been one of the people that I haven't tried it yet though.
It's nice with the sauce they put on, like in the shrimp. Like he had some big, like decently sized shrimp, and so we get a spoonful of the grits, sauce, and the shrimp. Like it just, I don't know, it tastes good. And I was like, again, not expecting it to. I was expecting like your normal breakfast grits. So it was a good one.
That's a vibe. That's cool.
Savory aspect. I've been wanting to peep it out, and most of the times they put cheese in it too, and I usually try to stay away from dairy when I can. I do it when I have to, when I'm really craving it. But for the most part, I try to stay away from it.
My man literally just told us that he stuffs a jalapeno with cream cheese. Don't do that.
Like I said, once in a blue moon, unless I'm craving it, like, because they love it. Like my friends, they love for the barbecues and stuff. Like me eating one of those ain't gonna hurt me. Like I'll eat a pizza maybe once every other month or every month or something like that. But for the most part, like I made a little man came over Thursday night. Like I made a breakfast quesadillas and stuff. Like I put cheese in his, but I didn't put cheese in mine. I just whatever, or cheeseburgers or whatever. I'll make burgers, so I'll put cheese in his, or but I won't do it on mine. So I stay away from it unless I'm really craving it, unless I'm really wanting it. Like once a month, I'll eat some nachos or something. But other than that, I try to gear away from it because I know I'm gonna be hurting the next day.
That's funny. Yeah, I may put on football in the background. Every now and again, I'll flirt with turning on Red Zone, and man, I don't know how people do it sometimes.
Yeah, it's too much.
It just raises your anxiety levels, even though it's supposed to be exciting. It's like, and now we'll switch to the Raiders and Falcons game. But now the Rams. We just got a touchdown in from they're about to kick a field goal. It's like, come on. And now we're gonna do 4 quadrants. They're all doing something, and it's all important. That's way too much. So once upon a time, I was like, man, I don't know why they don't have this for NBA, but no, it would be pointless.
Mm-hmm.
like last 3 minutes of a quarter or something like that. Like,
they're about to score, and they're about to score, and they're about to score, and like, what would you do? Just skip free throws? Like, is that the only point?
yeah.
I'm cool on that.
No, you ironically, like when it comes to football, actually, I'm more. It's like it's a love-hate kind of situation, but I'm more into college football, mainly because it's not the NFL. I guess like I really don't like, again, the concept we were talking about with UFC, where you got all this money being made, and these people are getting shitted on and whatnot. To Don's point, like for a while, like the NFL players, getting concussions and all that, and they really weren't taking care of them. Even now, they're still not taking care of them so much. Like the highest paid motherfuckers are like the quarterbacks, and everybody gets a bag here or there, but it's not necessarily guaranteed. And all of a sudden, you're injured, you're out of the league after so many years, and now you could have brain damage and all that stuff. So, and then all the Kaepernick stuff, when that stuff went down, that also kind of pushed me aside from football as far as professional football, and I got more into college football. And it's, again, like a love-hate thing, because at the same time, it's like, oh, well, these motherfuckers are doing it for this school, where the school's making all this money and they ain't getting a damn thing, So I feel bad about it, but at the same time, it's like, all right, yeah, it seems more pure because they're just playing the game, not all the money involved. If you look aside from the contracts, the TV contracts and all that junk or whatever, I guess. So I was watching football more so yesterday. Like I said, I'll watch it today just to see what the scores are in comparison to my bets I put on and whatnot. But I don't know, like as I get older, I'm less engaged with sports. Am I going to buy like the basketball package this year? Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. But I'm not like, rooting for specific teams or keeping in the news of what's what, because it's one of those situations where you find out you're a hero or something like that. You watch enough of them, you're going to see like them caught up in some scandal or whatever it is. So it's not even like fun anymore watching the sports.
I'm really surprised you justified the NCAA.
I so want to respond to that college to NFL take, but I know we're out of time, so we'll say that for next time. But oh boy, I feel different. I feel real different.
I gotta at least get a little bit of it then, like, so you feel different. I'll give you
just real quick. To me, it's the opposite, because the NFL is making money on these guys' backs getting concussions. True, but to my earlier point, these are grown men. College ball, they're doing the exact same thing to children, literally kids fresh out of high school, straight into college ball, same thing. But the thing is, they're risking their lives for a lot less. They're not getting a bag at all. These college teams or the schools are making more money than just schools. There's endorsement deals. There's March Madness that people like bet all over for. There's all these things. So to me,
Under Armour, Adidas,
yeah, all that. So to me, college players are risking more than NFL players. So for me, I actually might watch college for that very reason.
Good point, and everything you're saying is accurate and true. I just I guess I'm too lazy to care so much, which is bad. It's bad on my part, but I don't know. I'm just at the time of the Kaepernick things, that was the alternative. Was like, if I can't watch the NFL because of Kaepernick, I'm supporting Kaepernick. I gotta find NFL or football some way. Oh, okay, let me go to college. And at that time, you're hearing rumblings and stuff, people talking about how much they make and everything as far as the NFL, and how like the players don't have anything. Oh, you get a free education, blah blah, like that bullshit or whatever, So I do get the point, everything you're saying. I just didn't, or I've just pushed it aside in the back of my head, which is bad. But
let's go, yeah, because the kids, they just were like, what they say last year, just passed a law where kids,
they can get paid off their likeness and all that.
But that's the thing, like, and furthermore, like college football, they turn around. There's a faster turnaround. So like they're pushing kids more in and out. So like you could start your freshman year, you could play your heart out, they make money off you, but if you're whack or you get injured, not only do you lose your spot on the team, you might lose your scholarship. So you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. I know we're out of time.
Well, and that movie, National Champions, I don't know if you've seen it yet. Excellent. And it's a deep dive on that. And it has J.K. Simmons in it. He's like the coach. And you guys got to watch that. It's about basically as if it was a documentary. How do the players fight for, and how do they maybe even do a strike or a lockout on the championship game in order to get players paid for college sports? So definitely a worthy movie, and just the way it was written and directed, it's like you're on the edge of your seat the whole time. So
no, I'm gonna check it out. But yeah, that's what I was saying. Like I feel a little slightly different in regards to the NFL and college thing, but that's the gist of it.
I haven't started the sports betting or anything like that, but I think it's over for me in fantasy football. I haven't done the last couple of years, no desire for it. Don't have a team or a company or an organization that I care about to do it with, and it just seems ridiculous now. So
I kind of agree, because I'm in a league, but like we have like a family league. It's like some friends and cousins, and like I don't stay up to date as much as I used to. Like I used to study every single day, and now it's like after the draft we did, I'm like, all right, did I win? Cool. I didn't. All right. Like they're like, yo, you had like last week I had Tom Brady as my main quarterback and Trevor Lawrence on the bench, and Trevor Lawrence went ape shit and like crazy points that I had on the bench, but Tom Brady threw for one touchdown. So it's like they're like, bro, you should have did your homework because such and such. I'm like, my guy, you know what I mean?
Roll the dice.
So I think I'm with you. I'm like, if it's for the fam and they're like, yo, do you want to do it? Cool. But all the other ones I used to do, bro, at one point I was doing like 3 or 4 at a time. Now I'm struggling to do one. So yeah, I'm right. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I fell off of it when I saw something like either a meme or, a video, whatever, where they compared fantasy football to Dungeons and Dragons. And I was like, oh yeah, that's a good point. Like, this is like, it's nerdy, but like it's sports, so it's not nerdy. And I was like, man, like, nah, like I don't have the time to like look in, like, again, do the deep dive or studying and all that shit. Like, let me just watch the game and be entertained versus being like, oh no, like I need you to get 2 more like yards or what. Nah,
well, yeah, because then you find yourself rooting for like players that are going against your team. Like I'm a Broncos fan, so but if I got Patrick Mahomes on my team and they're blowing us out, I'm like, yeah, all right, another touchdown. They're like, fam, they just scored against the Broncos. I'm like, yeah, Mahomes on my squad. Like you feel it feels weird. It's a big contradiction. So I'm cool on it. Low key.
I never once done it. Like I always thought about it, I always seen it, but I never once done fantasy football. I was like, I just couldn't get into it. I'm glad I didn't.
Probably missed the boat.
Like it would take too much time, too much effort to learn this and that and about this, and like go into a deep dive and want to do some studying. Like, nah, I'm cool. I just want to see who wins.
Yeah,
I feel it.
All right, well, RIP to your uncle, Brian.
Yeah, man, RIP for sure.
Appreciate it. Prayers.
Listen to you in your